Welcome to Research Business Daily Report, made possible by our exclusive community at patreon.com. If you're a regular viewer of our series or just happen to come across us, please visit patreon.com/RBDR. We'll tell you why later. I'm Bob Lederer. One of the truly unfortunate and unforeseen remnants of the dissolution of MRIA, Canada's Market Research Association, was the association's failure to follow through and issue a commissioned report that was due to be made public in May 2018. It focused on what went so wrong with polling in and around Calgary's 2017 mayoral election. Incumbent Mayor Naheed Nenshi was shown in 3 polls leading up to the election that were published in Calgary's 2 daily newspapers, both owned by a company called Postmedia, to be seriously trailing a relatively unknown local businessman named Bill Smith. In fact, in one case, Smith was shown to be 17% ahead of his opponent. Ironically, the incumbent mayor ended up being reelected, and he won handily by 8%. As a result, a 3-person blue ribbon panel composed of University of Manitoba Christopher Adams, University of Victoria David Zussman, and Carleton University's Paul Adams were commissioned to investigate what went wrong with the polling, why it was so far off. It was done by Main Street Research for Postmedia. Last week, the threesome, having seen that MRIA was going out of business and had not released the report, decided to release the report themselves. And they went after literally everyone that was involved in the situation. The report notes that Postmedia had misgivings about the accuracy of the poll results it was receiving from Main Street Research, but it never confronted the researcher about the results. Meanwhile, as it turns out, Main Street Research privately was concerned about what it was delivering, but all the while it put on an assertive, self-confident front, heavily criticizing in very strong terms any public critics. By the way, one private and another academic poll reported during the campaign that the incumbent mayor was comfortably ahead, but nobody really noticed. I found the panel's conclusions compelling simply because they refused to focus entirely on the pollsters' work. And therefore, I think they delivered a very strong lesson that has salience in other localities around the globe in all kinds of polling situations and affecting researchers, the public, and the media. Mainstream's work was cited for flawed sample and methodology. The panel also critiqued Mainstream for its called bloated, acrid defense of its polls. Postmedia failed to apply routine journalistic scrutiny to the polls that it had paid for, according to the panel, and apparently having paid for it was a good enough reason to defend their investment by sticking to what the results were that were being published. Media in general, moving forward, should disclose their relationships, including financial relationships, with polling companies. That was one of the first conclusions to come out of the study. They also said that there should be an established professional standard for the reporting of polls and that researchers should be trained and retrained accordingly. And as would be expected, the panel recommended increased transparency by each poll regarding sample, proportion of cell phones, response rates, callbacks, etc. Now, the nation's industry, in this case Canada, should monitor and enforce standards of disclosure, according to the panel. And they also said a system should be developed to calculate and communicate historical margins of error for polls. There were additional recommendations in the study, but they are many in number, and thus we're linking to the report for your benefit. Look in the description box underneath today's video for it. That's your Research Business Daily Report, made possible by members of our exclusive community on the crowdfunding platform known as patreon.com. As always, we want to say thanks to all of our patrons who joined the viewer group because they recognize the value that RBDR brings, not just to them, but to conversations throughout the industry. And a special thanks to our very newest patron, Jim Heisler. Now, if you're interested in joining the community, and if you've gotten this far into the video, I can't imagine why you would not be, you will also have the opportunity to access RBDR perks and services through your sponsorship. It doesn't really matter how big your research organization is, what kind of research you do, whether you work on the client or on the agency side, or where you are geographically located around the globe. RBDR needs your support, and we ask for it today. And all you really need to do is go to patreon.com/RBDR and decide for yourself what level of support you'd like to provide us. If you've watched the video so far today, you've gotten this far and you obviously have gotten something out of it, both information-wise and potentially even some entertainment. So, again, please visit patreon.com/RBDR and join us. And we say thanks. Have yourself a great research day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.